Hi, this is Lisa. I have a quick video here on economy block and foundation paper piecing. This happens to be a 3-inch economy block. This template was provided by Tiny Orchard Quilts very generously. I have it printed on newsprint. Newsprint is your friend here. And I want to give you some tips to help your brain work less hard. As you know, the front of your foundation paper piecing shows only the sew lines, okay? So these are the lines that we're actually going to sew on. And I did a little engineering on this where I put registration on the front, and I'll tell you how I transfer it to the back, so I know exactly where the 1/4 inch, so I don't have to guess. I know exactly where the 1/4 inch is for this square. You know, the placement of your first piece is oftentimes the most important. So on the left-hand side, I just did a line by the square and then did another adjacent line that's a 1/4 inch away and did the same thing for the top. And what this will give me is on this outside area here, that will, if I have a square and it's snugged up there, it will have a 1/4 inch all the way around because a square has the same amount on all sides. Okay, so how do you get it to the other side? Well, because I've marked this, and this has a little different markings, I ended up changing my mind and I just settled on this gradient. It's doing the same thing. I took a Sharpie and I essentially, for this center square, the outside of the center square, just on one corner, you can do more corners if you like, but you only need one because it's a square, did overlapping hash marks similar to how they do in typesetting. And what this allows is when I turn it over, I have a guideline. I know where my first square needs to be. My first square, of course, its seam allowance has to nestle right there. It can't be over here or it'll be askew. It has to be at least right here. And if you cut your square slightly larger, you can get more confident on eyeballing things. And as you can see, I have, created already my first round of triangles in this, and these are the last triangles. All right, so that was my first tip. My second tip is glue basting. My glue bottle is my MVP in the sewing room. I rarely use pens. I don't like how it distorts. It gets in the way of my seam guide. I'm not going to take all the crazy ways of building up a ledge. I don't need a ledge. I've got a beautiful seam guide that fits all of my machines, or I have a 1/4 inch foot and I can move a needle on another machine. I don't need to do that. So pins just get in the way, and I really don't need them. I do not press my seams open except in rare circumstances. So what I do on here is, once the seam is trimmed, so this is, this seam has been trimmed for this round robin, I'm basically gluing. This is glued. Look, it's not coming up. This is already glued, ready to be sewn. And you're just doing it in opposite sides. So these have already been done. And I have already cut these the exact way that they need to be cut using my folded corner clipper, and I'll talk about that in another video. But the point is, you can do a lot of production by just gluing these in place, two sides, and then bam, bam, bam. You just grabbing a triangle, putting it on the block, gluing it down, hitting it with the iron, no steam because you don't want to crinkle your paper, and you might want to use a pressing mat too. I always use a pressing mat. And then stack these up, put them by your machine, sew, then open them up, and then you're ready for your next round. So hopefully these are a couple of tips here that will help you make your brain work less hard and make your Your sewing production make Henry Ford proud.